Hi there, it is David Lee for the James Bond Dossier on the 14th of February 2019. It's Valentine's Day, and that means we are now a year away from the release of Bond 25, or that is until they change the release date within the last month or whatever happened with Spectre. Okay, so yesterday I was talking about From a View to a Kill, the book, and or rather the short story contained in the book, For Your Eyes Only, and the second story in that collection is For Your Eyes Only, the same as the book, and it's that I wanted to talk about today. So. For Your Eyes Only starts out with some friends of M. In fact, he was the best man for the Havelocks at their wedding, and they get murdered by some Cuban heavies, and who are all under the orders of a ex-Gestapo officer who's now the head of counterintelligence for the Cuban intelligence services. And so when it turns out that these friends of M are murdered, he calls James Bond into his office, and it's one of the few times in the books that Bond actually goes rogue. It's something that we've seen in the films quite a few times now, and it's just a bit of a cliche that with Daniel Craig's films he goes rogue at some point in every single film. Anyway, it's not so frequent in the books, but this is one of the occasions that he does so. But he does it with M's blessing. M presents him the facts, and he doesn't exactly he doesn't order Bond to do it at all. In fact, he suggests that perhaps he might want to go after them, and Bond agrees because he doesn't like that kind of behaviour and pushing Britain around, and so very topical. And so Bond travels to Canada, and he crosses the border with the United States into Vermont, where von Hammerstein and his men are staying in a rented house, and apparently it was based on a house that belonged to one of Ian Fleming's friends, and I think Black Hollow Farm was the name of the place. And so he goes through the woods, and he's got a rifle, and he's disguised as a hunter. He buys a load of second-hand hunting gear, travels down with just enough rations to do the mission, get his target, and then get out of there. But there's a bit of a complication on the way, and that complication is that the daughter of the couple, Judy Havelock, she's there with a bow and arrow. See, this all sounds a bit familiar if you have seen the film For Your Eyes Only. So she's there. Bond wants her out the way, and tells her it's man's work as usual, as Bond does, and eventually they work together to kill von Hammerstein. So it's a mini Bond adventure. It's slightly unusual because Bond goes rogue in this one, or at least it's not a Secret Service sanctioned mission, at least, even though M agrees with him. In fact, Bond encourages him to do the job. So, and it doesn't have the meals or the drinks or the cars or many of the elements of a Bond adventure, but all the same, it is a full Bond adventure within a very short very few pages, and it's a good read. It remains one of my favourites. I do like to go back to it again and again. This is the usual copy I have, which is all the short stories. This is the copy that I originally had, which I'm a bit more careful of these days. But there you go. So, if you haven't read any of the Bond books, the short stories are one of the ways you can approach it, especially if you're not used to reading very often, and get a copy of For Your Eyes Only, and take a dip into those. All the stories are pretty short, so you can do it pretty easily. It's not something you need to dedicate hours of your life to. Okay, if you like this podcast, then jamesbonddossier.com/listen. If you like to watch, then it's not very much really to watch, just me and my face. So if you're watching the video, you might want to go to the podcast, jamesbonddossier.com/watch, and I'm also on Instagram TV. Okay, that's it for now. See you tomorrow.